The Bible actually tells us that there's a war coming that's going to kill 2 billion human beings.
Define marriage.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. But I do believe in civil unions.
Hamas has said clearly and publicly that they are not going to continue the truce, and the same day they attacked Israel.
When the confirmation of the covenant occurs, it marks the beginning of the final 7 years to Armageddon.
Today is Friday Open Lines. Give us a call right now, 1-877-ENDTIME.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it. Well, it seems like every Friday when we get to Open Line, I say the same thing. What a week. I mean, things are not slowing down. Momentous events throughout this week, and they continue even as we speak. The demonstrations are continuing in Yemen, in Bahrain, in Libya, other parts of the world. Everybody's still wondering, okay, what does it all mean? Is this a spontaneous combustion? Is this a planned event? Is this being fueled by the social networks? Is this a movement of Islam to totally take over the Middle East? What really is happening here? And I don't know whether anybody actually has all the answers to that or not. Nevertheless, it's been a very, very interesting week. And as we look at it, let me just quickly review for you some of the things we discussed this week. It is Open Line, by the way, and we're going to immediately go to your calls. The number to call to be on the air with us, 877-END-TIME. Very quick review. On Monday, we came back to this microphone to the news that Hosni Mubarak, the 30-year president of Egypt, had been overthrown and had gone to Sharm el-Sheikh, where he was in isolation. And we were left with the question, okay, who was behind this? Who won? Who lost? Where will it lead? Well, the questions possibly could be answered by Democracy One, maybe, or is it the Muslim Brotherhood, or is it extremist Islam? We don't know the answer yet exactly who will take control at the helm of the very strategic nation Egypt, but we will find out in due time. They have scheduled elections for within 6 months, so we'll see what happens there. And then also, on Tuesday, as the turmoil spread throughout the Middle East, we asked the question, where does it all lead? And then we went to the unimpeachable source, the Bible. What does the Bible say for the future of the Middle East? We spent quite a bit of time going through scriptures because we know that the Bible is always accurate, even when we don't know what to make of the news. And then on Wednesday, we discussed the Battle of Armageddon because that is ultimately where everything is headed. And we wanted to make sure everyone really had a good understanding of Armageddon. So we went through the different scriptures, at least some of them. We didn't have time to finish them all, but through the scriptures concerning the Battle of Armageddon. Yesterday, we talked about the Abrahamic covenant, the prophecies about Judea, because the Palestinians are wanting to introduce a resolution to the UN Security Council concerning the illegality of construction in the area of Judea, Samaria, better known as the West Bank in news today, and also in East Jerusalem. So we went to the Bible. What does the Bible say? What happened when God promised this area to Abraham and his descendants after him? And what do the leaders of the world think when they directly countermand exactly what God said? So those are some of the things we talked about this week. Also, one important announcement: starting Monday, we will be on K-Word, KWRD, in Dallas-Fort Worth. It's going to be an evening time slot, 9:30 to 10:30 at night. For some of you, that will be wonderful. For others of you, maybe it won't be as convenient. Nevertheless, most of you know we lost our other station because they sold and they transformed the station into a different format. So we've been off the air for a few weeks here in Dallas-Fort Worth. But Dallas-Fort Worth is our home base, and we certainly didn't want to stay off the air. So we're very happy about this privilege to be on K-Word 100.7 FM, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. Covers the entire Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and 100 miles or so each way. So it's a powerful signal, 100,000 watt FM. I know you're going to enjoy listening to K-Word 100.7 FM. Let's now get to our phones because we've got a lot of territory to cover today. And calling from Florida, listening to us on the internet. Hello, Ken. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing, Irving?
I'm doing very good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I've been following you for about a year now. I saw you one night on TBN, and I liked what you were saying about the rapture because I've always been questioning, why am I studying? Why am I going to church services and studies and all these things if I'm going to be raptured out of here? And so what I believe is happening, and I've been seeing this for years, that the war going on over in the Middle East has been coming for a long time. And in Matthew 24:7 says that in the end times there's going to be nation against nation, which is ethnos against ethnos, which ethnic against ethnic, but also kingdom against kingdom. And I was looking, in the concordance, and really, if really, truly, there's only two kingdoms in the world today, and that's the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. And so what I see happening in the spirit realm is that we're coming up against a battle that no man has an answer for. And Islam, or the Muslim faith, is they're already at war with us, whether we like it or not or believe it or not. And how are we going to fight this battle? I mean, Osama bin Laden, we can't even find one guy, one man. And I believe truly that it's going to come to a point where no man has any answers. And then God's going to step in and say, take it over. And, when I go into the book of Ezekiel, I see where 57 times God says, or it ends the verse in, and they will know that I am the Lord God. And I really believe it's going to be a battle just like Gideon, where God's going to move mightily and the enemy's going to destroy himself.
Ken, as you're talking here, all of us are wondering, okay, what are we supposed to do? Which side do we stand on? Should we be on either side? And you point out that there are two sides in the spirit world, light and darkness. And Jesus said concerning the people that were of the light, if my kingdom were of this age, then my servants would fight. And so we're watching wars take place here, and sometimes we don't know for sure whether we're on one side or the other. As Americans, of course, our tendencies are to always think our nation is right, but we've learned by now that sometimes our nation is not right, and that's a bitter pill to swallow, because we all are born with an inbred patriotism, and we love our country, and I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, we don't need to love our country so much that we become blind to truth. And so we watch ourselves as we're involved in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and other places, and we're saying, okay, where does this battle lead? And when we look at the Palestinians, and it looks like they're having a tough time, and it looks like the Israelis sometimes are sort of abusing them, and yet we see the promises of God that this land will belong to Israel. And so you say, okay, am I going to be on God's side, or I'm going to be on the emotional side of the downtrodden Palestinians, so to speak? And so there are so much confusion. A lot of people don't really know what side they are on. But I think you've really touched the key here, and that is that we need to be on the side of the light. And sometimes we cannot get involved in the secular wars in one side or the other, because
I've seen this coming. I'm following the last election. It was pretty much Hillary's for the asking, to become president. She was going to be anointed, I guess. But anyway, when Barack Obama threw his hat in the ring, I didn't even know who this guy was, but all of a sudden I could see in the spirit realm that we were likely to elect this guy, and that he is a Muslim. He comes from, he was born Barry Soetoro and changed his name. When you become a Muslim, you change your name, which he did. It's like Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali. And at that time, my prayer was, okay, well, let's give him the House and the Senate. Let's give him control of everything so that the truth will come to the surface. And boy, did it. And I don't think McCain would have been much better. It just would have been a slow process instead of this process. I mean, in 2 years, we found out what kind of a leader he was, or he is, and that the church he sat in is the pastor is friends of who's the Muslim leader?
Louis Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah.
And so it's a black Muslim church, and it has Muslim tendencies.
Hey, listen, Ken, this conversation is getting pretty long, so I'm going to have to let you go. I've got a lot of people lining up. But I think we get the point of what you're trying to say, and you've got some good observations, so we sure appreciate you calling in today. I want to go ahead and get at least one more call before we hit our break. Let's go now to Colorado, also listening on the internet. Hello, Ed. Welcome to Politics and Religion.
Hello, Brother Baxter. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing really good.
Brother Baxter, I have a question. Before I get there, I wanted to ask you a real quick question in the book of Ezekiel. In Ezekiel, in 38, it talks about all these nations coming together against Israel. And then it says that at the same time shall an evil thought come into thy mind. And it says, thou shalt say, I will go up to a land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without bars, without walls, neither having bars nor gates, to take a spoil, to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon those that are gathered out of nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, and dwell in the midst of the land. The way I see this reads is that the beginning of it talks about them coming up against Israel and up against the mountains of Israel, and then it says, and at the same time, it'll come into this thought to come up against this other people. And this other people, it gives it this description here. I've always kind of had a feeling that might be a description of the United States, because, we've never had walls around our cities. We also have gotten much good in the midst of the land. We've been gotten out of many nations.
Yeah. Well, Ed, since we're really limited on time before the break, let me just quickly tell you, it's my opinion that both of those things are referring to Israel. So the question then is, well, why does it say the city of unwalled villages? Well, really, there are no walls around the villages of Israel. The only one that has walls left is the old city of Jerusalem. But we do know they built this huge wall, the security fence, over the last 4 or 5 years. However, the Palestinians hate this fence, and if they get a peace agreement, I suspect one of the provisions will be that security fence goes away. So I don't know that for sure, but just to quickly respond, I've looked at this a lot of times. It is my opinion that those are not two separate entities, that all that is referring to the nation of Israel. Now, Ed, I've cut you off here because I hear the break coming at us. You're welcome to hold through the break if you would like to, or else we can let you go. That's your choice. Just let our screener know. He'll check with you right now.
Every Monday at 9 p.m. Central on the Church Channel and at 10 p.m. Central on Daystar, Irvin Baxter presents End of the Age. End of the Age is a 30-minute program which gives intricate details about how Bible prophecy is not only true, but also how it lines up so perfectly with events going on in the world right now. Don't miss one End of the Age program every Monday at 9 p.m. Central on the Church Channel and at 10 p.m. Central on Daystar. Visit endtime.com for more details or call 1-800-ENDTIME.
When you think about Bible prophecy or the end of the world, what comes to mind? War, destruction, famine, disease, 666, mark of the beast, antichrist, false prophet, 4 horsemen, trumpets, seals, and vials. What about 2012? How does all of this affect you as a teenager in today's world? Those are all good questions, but the thing to remember is that Bible prophecy was not put here for us to be afraid of it, but for us to know what is to come. When I was a kid, I used to pretend that I could see the future and predict what